Welcome to Crisp Tutorials, where we keep it short, simple, and to the point. Today, I'll introduce you to Visual Studio Code IDE. Till now, all the demos that I showed you were shown to you on W3 School's Try Me window. So whatever I wrote on the left hand side was reflected on the right hand side once I clicked this run button. This was an online compiler. But now, since our examples are becoming more and more complex, I feel we should move over to a real IDE. Now, what is an IDE? IDE is an integrated development environment. Why integrated? Because it is a combination or integration of three things. One is the word processor, second part of it is a compiler, and the third part of it is a debugger. So when these three things come together, an IDE is formed. That is an integrated development environment. It is a software which is used to make other softwares. Okay. So let's go through the list of top IDEs as of December 2018. So as you can see, Visual Studio has the maximum user base of 22.72%. Eclipse is catching up very closely, followed by Android Studio and so on. Here trend indicates that Android Studio has the fastest growing user base, which means that more and more users are turning up to Android Studio as their favorite IDE. As compared to last year, this year saw an 6.8% increment in the user base of Android Studio IDE. Followed by this, the second fastest growing IDE in the world is Visual Studio Code. Now, since Android Studio is for making applications on Android, we are left with the choice of Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, Atom, these are a few IDEs which are used for making single page web applications, especially people from JavaScript frameworks like Angular are more attracted towards these IDEs because they are very lightweight, and usually single page web applications are also all about lightweight, speed, agility. So these are their favorite IDEs. So let's go with Visual Studio Code. Let's download it. To download Visual Studio Code, just go to Google, find Visual Studio download, go to the first link. This is the official website of Visual Studio Code. Now, depending upon the operating system, click one of these buttons. My operating system is Windows, so it will automatically identify whether it is a 32-bit or a 64-bit operating system, and depending upon that, it will download the proper setup. For example, when I click the button, it automatically downloads 64-bit version of the setup. Other icons, other links are given just in case you are working on Windows machine and you still want to download, say, Ubuntu Linux for 32-bit machine, then you should be clicking this link, and so on. So after you download that setup and install Visual Studio Code, you should be able to launch it like this. This is how the Visual Studio Code is. It consists of three major parts. One is this workspace area in which you are seeing the welcome tab. Second part is this left side navigation, and the third part is this title bar cum menu bar. So in the left side navigation, the first tab is Explore pane. Now the Explore pane is basically containing your project folder. So nowadays all the new IDEs work on folder principle. Earlier IDEs used to have file principle. That means in Visual Studio per se, we used to have a SLN file for solution, and then every solution used to have multiple projects. So every project used to have a CS proj file if it is a CS project. So the problem with that was that if you had to add some project, you had to paste that file into that folder location, and after that you had to add it, import it explicitly, include it explicitly in that particular project. So that was kind of cumbersome, and just to avoid that and to keep clarity, transparency, nowadays all the new IDs have taken up the folder approach. So whatever you paste, even in Windows File Explorer, if you just paste some file into your project folder, then it automatically gets included in your project. You don't have to explicitly include that file. Okay, so let's see that in action. Let's create one project folder. Choose any folder of your liking and just create one project folder, say my project. And just copy the path, click on open folder here, or alternatively you could have gone to file menu and said open folder. Alternatively control K plus control O would also work. Now we are going to that folder and we selected it. So as you can see, the Visual Studio Code refreshed and it has opened my project folder in this Explorer pane. So this is my project folder now. So as soon as I add any file here, say index.html, it gets added here also. On a Windows File Explorer also you will be able to see the same. And if I add something here in Windows File Explorer, say images, and inside images, suppose if I add some logo, so the same is reflected here also. So the Explorer pane of Visual Studio Code is absolutely in sync with Windows File Explorer. By File Explorer I mean this is called as Windows File Explorer. Okay. Another advantage that modern IDEs like Visual Studio Code give is that out of the box they come with very minimal functionality, and later the user can extend their functionality using extensions. So how will you add an extension to Visual Studio Code? Just go to this last extension pane. Last pane is extension pane. Go here and you can search for some extension. The extension that I like is live server. So it should have this kind of an icon. Click on the install button. So this will install the extension. After that, just click on the reload button. The entire IDE will reload itself along with this extension. So now if you notice, you will see a small go live button here on the status bar. So this extension has only added this button. Now let's see what this button does. I'll first demonstrate you one little thing. If I add anything to this file and save it, and then I reveal it in the Explorer and double click it to see it in the browser. So here you are able to see that I'm able to see hello over here. Now if I modify this file, say like this, and I save the file, the left hand browser doesn't get updated as long as I don't click this button. So now I'm clicking this button, now it got modified. Okay, so all the modifications that I do to my file are not live, they are not seen live in the browser window. Now if you want that kind of a thing just for the debugging purpose, then this go live button is just for you. Just click this. See, server started at port 5500. So what it has done is your project folder is now deployed on your local machine itself at port number 5500. And when you modify any file or folder within your project folder, like I'm modifying it again, and you save it, it instantly reloads your local server, and that is why the changes are immediately reflected on the URL. So I'm saving it and you are seeing the change on the left hand side. So this is the advantage of this go live button and this little live server extension. So that was a brief introduction of Visual Studio Code. Going forward, I would expect that whichever demos I show you on Aspire, please try them out in some IDE of your choice. And the IDE that I have explained to you is Visual Studio Code. Most of the users making single page web applications do prefer this IDE. So that was all for today. Thank you.